So the grid clears out now for the Norton 360 Sandown Challenge. Let's check in on the Fuso grid. Paul Dumbrell, his first ever pole position, and all FPR front row there with Mark Winterbottom. Second row goes to Lee Holdsworth, who was showing great pace in the qualifying session, just couldn't match it. There's Jamie Whincup. James Courtney just one slot behind. So all the top three title contenders are within the top 5 positions. Lowndes to start alongside Courtney. Jason Bright and Michael Caruso. Bright doing a good job considering he had a massive accident in practice on Friday. Fabian Coulthard and Will Davison make up the top 10. Position 11 goes to Rick Kelly with Russell Ingall alongside him. Both Rick and Todd were in the top 10 yesterday. So they've been trying to find that speed again. Stephen Richards and Shane Van Gisbergen, who's fallen away just a little bit since that extraordinary run that he had on the Gold Coast. And again, a lot of it is because of this, being stuck mid-pack in qualifying. Kelly and Stephen Johnson, Greg Murphy and Tim Slade for positions 17 and 18. The Wilson Security Racing, thanks for having us in your garage this weekend. In our host position, Jonathan Webb and Garth Tander. There's a big surprise. Remember, Garth was in a very big accident yesterday, so it's great to have him on course. Andrew Jones is in car number 8 this weekend, and as we roll through the rest of the grid, I'll just take a second to pause and let Jason Richards know that we're thinking about you, mate. Jason is being treated after having an abdominal tumour discovered, so Jason won't be with us for the rest of the season. And if you'd like to offer your support, you can do so via the website v8supercars.com.au. Jace, get better, mate. Tony Ricciardello in position 29. So that brings up the rear of the grid. But what about the nuts and bolts of the rules of play? Let's find out with Mark Lark.
Sandown International Raceway, race 24. Okay, this is going to be a 65 lapper today, and now we can use our sprint tyres, the soft option tyre, about a second quicker. We reckon you'll get about 25 laps out of those soft tyres before they go away. Fuel, well, you're going to need 2 stops because we know 27 laps is about what you get out of a tank. Strategy, really hard one here today, but I can tell you what's going to be important. If we look at Sandown Raceway, a couple of key areas. Brakes up here in the braking area here and here, and more importantly, power down here and here. Now, that's because that's a very long straight from a slow corner and a very long straight from a slow corner. Now, I've spoken to you before about camber, the need for camber on your tyres, because here's your contact patch here and here's the deflection of the tyre. The soft tyre gives more grip, you need more camber. But because of these brakes and this power down, you actually want your tyre standing up straight, but you can't have that. So how you manage that will have a big play on how your strategy rolls out.
The key word, strategy. Thanks, Larko. 3.1 kilometres this Sandown Raceway circuit.
And I promise I left everything just as it was in the tech centre so that he could go in there and play nicely. Here's our racetrack, 3.1 kilometres, 13 turns. And today we'll be looking at a fuel burn around this track in the order of about 2.6 litres per lap. That's an average figure across the field. That equates to about 2 kilos. We're going to have those 2 stops that Mark was talking about. Here's the championship scenario where it's all tightened up at the top. It's a 191-point spread from first to third, and a real pressure scenario between James and Jamie at the moment, just 32 points between them.
150 points goes to the winner today, and of course another 300 in 2 weekends' time at the Sydney Telstra 500. And we'll keep track of that throughout the course of the race. Once the pit stops have all come into play, we'll be able to get an accurate reflection of who's where.
There's only 5 cars out there at the moment as we join Shane Van Gisbergen and the SP Tools Falcon that are electing to start on the softer of the tyres. Actually, there's 6. There's one at the bottom of the list that I've just spotted here as well. So, and they are Will Davison in car number 22, Russell Ingall, car 39. I was talking to Russell before the race. He was sitting there scratching his head about the right way to go. Don't forget, if you have to leave us this afternoon, you're out and about, jump onto your Telstra Next G mobile for Big Pond Sports coverage of the V8 Supercars race 24 today.
Keep coming, another metre, another metre. Good. Another bit, yep, good.
Oh. Alex Davison wagging at the fence there. Todd Kelly's another of the drivers with the sprint tyre. Dean Fiore as well. Warren Luff, Tony Ricciardello has them. So 6 cars in the field with white wall tyres on. We've changed the colour depiction of those this year, and they're more obvious than they've been in the past to be able to spot them on the car, unless they rub another competitor.
So many great little stories within these 29 people, and especially at the front. Paul Dumbrell starting from pole position for the first time. Mark Winterbottom's alongside him, third in the championship. Whincup and Courtney close together as well. Let's see how Dumbrell gets his first ever start off position number 1. It's a good one, but Whincup got a really good start, and he goes up to third. So Jamie Whincup gets the position off Lee Holdsworth. Winterbottom gets pushed out to the side, down to turn 3. And Winterbottom takes the advantage. Smart thinking by Paul Dumbrell. Around turn 4. A little bit of jostling, as you'd expect, mid-pack. And that was a bump too. That was a bump that affected Craig Lowndes. Will Davison came back on and got Craig Lowndes. So now the big run down the back straight.
This is wild up here when you're alongside each other. 265 kilometres an hour. That was Rick Kelly up the inside of Lowndes. Lowndes tries to get around the outside. Look at this, it's still on. Steve Richards into the back. Will Davison around the outside.
Yeah, mid-pack's ugly at the moment because with all that stuff that happened at turn 4, they got out of rhythm, sort of changed the relative pace of each other. So, nice start, Mark Winterbottom. That was important.
And Todd did a good job to get up the inside of Steve Richards.
Tim Slade putting some pressure on Stephen Johnson. So Winterbottom has the lead. Dumbrell is second, then it's Whincup third.
And the data's just updated as well for Jason Bargwana, who's also on the sprint tyre. So that gives us, what, 7 in total out there. It's the approach to turn 4 where the cars are doing just 70 kilometres an hour at the apex.
So Will Davison up the inside of Craig Lowndes. A lot of cars starting on the hard tyre compared to this time last year when we raced here. Most of the field chose to use the soft tyre to start. And this is always ugly. When you're on the outside there, you just don't know whether you can pull across. And Todd Kelly sneaks down the inside. Oh, so close. Rubs the back of Craig Lowndes' car. Very good driving on both those guys' behalves.
Lowndes has already dropped 6 spots from the start. He's down to 12th.
He's getting bruised at the moment, isn't he? Now watch also for Russell Ingall, because he's 7th at the moment on the softer tyre. You can see a glimpse of the super cheap car coming. Once rubber's warmed up here, he'll be the guy that charges.
And Whincup will need to get by Dumbrell, because an 11.57 for Winterbottom on the last lap was 0.6 of a second faster than Dumbrell, almost a second lead already. Jamie will not want to lose contact with the leader.
And equally, Dumbrell's not going to do him any favours.
This looks ugly. Oh, two alongside each other, don't get through there normally. Good driving, Jonathan Webb and Alex Davison. D'Alberto right up in behind there, also gave them some room. So as we said, Lowndes was the big loser. Ingall was the big winner in the top 10 cars.
And Ingall's going to keep going forward to Scafie. He's now up to 6th position. Seeing a replay off the start. Lowndes didn't get a good one at all. The other team Vodafone car went. Lowndes got dug up, and that meant that Michael Caruso could go sailing by. So
very good jump there. Jamie Whincup probably got the best start of the top 3 to 4 cars. And I thought he was going to be more aggressive here to get right in there behind Dumbrell. And as it turned out, he gave Dumbrell some room when Dumbrell needed to get back in behind. So Paul did a good job to merge. Jamie also quite responsibly gave him some road.
No surprise, Ingall the fastest car on the track at the moment, 11.3 on the last lap. Winterbottom though at 11.5, so not a huge speed gain in the super cheap car at the moment, but he'll continue to march.
Yeah, and Neil, typically that's about 1 to 1.3 seconds type you'll get over the control time. But we looked at last year's stuff, remembering it was cooler. That advantage only lasts for about 25, 26 laps at best.
So let's just get this right. Ingall is the only guy in the top 5 cars with the soft tyre on. So Winterbottom, Dumbrell, Whincup, Holdsworth and Ingall, you're on board with him.
Russell actually, with the benefit of the draft from Lee's car and on the softer tyre with a good corner exit speed from 4, actually just bopped the rev limiter then at the end of the back straight. Across those bumps as well, because the car flares. Here we go. Let him go the long way, and Lee would be well advised just to not make it too hard.
Smart driving. He was only going to cost both of them time and potentially rub both cars together.
Look at the traction benefit from the softer tyre off turn 13.
He's already got 3 car lengths.
Look at that, 10.9 for Ingle with a traffic-affected lap. So he went the long way down at turn 12, and he's 1.6 seconds faster on that lap than the race leader. Here it is again. Replay, watch Ingle back in the pack here on the outside, blazing.
He's made that pass twice now.
Yeah, so
James
that's worked
Courtney
well.
once, and Lee Holdsworth on the next lap. So the speed is definitely there for Russell Ingle, as you would expect with the soft tyre on. Now in 4th position, right up behind the man that's 2nd in the series. And Whincup just flicked the blinker then. He gave him a little bit of road. You watch this, he'll just pull him behind him. He flicked the blinker halfway up the back straight to say, go by on the right.
Yeah, good plan. Because that way it doesn't hurt Jamie's lap time.
And it doesn't hurt either of them under that scenario.
And they know they'll meet again later in the day. So it'd be interesting to see what sort of lap speed Russell's got on this lap. So those tyres have now come up to temperature and pressure. Watch him rocket off the final corner here. Would just easily sneak under Dumbrell.
Now to catch up to the guys in front. Thank you.
So Mark Dutton saying to Whincup now, let's press on now. He knew that he let Russell Ingle by. And as Ingle now up the inside of Dumbrell, another good pass. So you can just see this speed gain. Good pass also for James Courtney on the same tyre as Lee Holdsworth.
While Russell has been mowing them down up the front, the nearest guy to him in the top 10 on soft tyres is Will Davison. Now, Will's only made up 2 spots in the last 4 or so laps. Some of the rear bodywork coming off car 51 coming loose there. So that's interesting, isn't it? Russell's really got the best out of those soft tyres. Will is having a much harder time of it passing. Whoop. Carl Reindler
Getting turned around by Tony Ricciardello. Tony's on the soft tyre, so he was probably looking for a position there up the inside. As we pick up now on Will Davison's position, who's just by Fabian Coulthard, in behind Michael Caruso. So that's the progress that he's made. His best time so far is 11.47. Russell Ingle in 2nd position has done a 10.93, so about half a second faster, as Matt said. Ingle's got that lap speed and is very strong.
He didn't show it on that particular lap, though. It was an 11.3 that last lap for Russell and an 11.6 for Mark Winterbottom, so it wasn't a huge speed gain on that lap. It's a very good exit by Russell, progressed the throttle. Mark was even acting out the throttle position in the commentary box here then. It's all about that corner exit speed. He might have a peep down here at turn 1. He looks. Is he close enough? Yep. Yes, did it easy.
Hey mate, they're going to give you a mechanical black flag.
That's for Greg Murphy.
And that was the damage that we saw on the back of the Castrol Edge, car 51,
Hey mate,
Greg Murphy mobile.
Waiting on blue flag for the car in front, mate. Look after these tyres and make it lead.
So they'll drag that out from under that car very quickly. And Russell Ingle will now want to make some really good headway. He'll want to do really good clean laps, but don't use the tyre too hard, because Russell's probably thinking about using this tyre again at the end of the race.
Davison.
Yep, good pass.
Now he's starting to make the most out of those tyres. So 3 drivers inside the top 10 are operating on the sprint tyre. They are Ingle, who leads the race, Davison, who's now in 6th, and Todd Kelly, who's 9th.
On board with Lee Holdsworth, you can see the amount of oversteer.
Use up those rears, mate. 5 to go.
So Richard Holway just said to him, use those rear tyres up, mate, because when they come in the next time, they'll just put rear tyres on that car. He'll stay on the hard tyre and then use the soft tyre in the last segment of the race. So there's so many strategies to play out as we watch the difference in lap speed between a Russell Ingle, for instance, and a Mark Winterbottom in 1st and 2nd.
Murphy's now in the lane to have that bodywork problem addressed. They've also He talked on the radio about making a big change to the rear roll centre on that car. It's just the apron at the back of the fuel cell on this car, so it doesn't particularly do much, but it's causing grief there at the moment. Things in gear too.
And here I was saying I'll just come in and rip that off, but it's pretty serious about staying on there. Just for our own strategy, just to get this right, the pit window opens on lap 9, so that actually, they put fuel in that car, and that won't necessarily hurt them. Obviously, the lap time of, or stop time of pulling the rear panel out from under the rear bumper makes a big difference, but the actual strategy of stopping on 9 won't hurt too much.
Riding with Shane van Gisbergen, who's being pretty aggressive towards Stephen Richards in front of him. This is position 15 you're driving with. Just trying to get some of that magic back.
They've been funny this year, haven't they? They've just lacked consistency. They've been really fast in some places. I mean, who will forget that great Gold Coast performance? And certain places this year, he's been really absolutely in the top 3 or 4 guys and really in command of the car and up to date on setup, and the way they tune the car's been very good. As you can hear him complaining, but there's been places where they're just nowhere. There's been places where they're in the middle of the field.
And the difference has been, more often than not, qualifying. Qualified so well in Surfers Paradise and ended up racing for the lead. In Tasmania, was mid-pack, and same here.
Tony Ricciardello will get a drive-through penalty, which was the hit that we saw on Carl Reindler in car 21. So he'll be in next lap to have a drive-through.
Interesting thing here is that I thought there'd be a bigger disparity in performance between the sprint tyre and our regular tyre. Todd, don't need to be that wide up there on the approach to turn 4. Does he get away with it?
It's a good save.
It was a very
good save.
He's got a, and this is Will going up the inside here of James now. He's got a 2.7-second lead over Winterbottom at this stage, but he's not exactly bolting up the road.
Guys, the first of the scheduled pit stops is about to begin. GRM are getting ready for car 34, Michael Caruso. It looks like hard tyres will go back on that car. I was talking to both of them this morning, and they were saying the car is a lot pointier today, but it's a real trade-off, as you know, between getting turn on the soft tyre, but then making the rear tyre last. Michael Caruso, in fact, has copied Lee Holdsworth's setup, but it's just interesting to give him feedback that he's losing drive already in this race.
Well, Lee Holdsworth is getting a very graphic illustration of what it's like to have the sprint tyre underneath you, because Todd Kelly has it and is now squeezed on by car 33.
And when Cam was just talking about pointy, he means that the front of the car is very accurate. It means it's got a lot of front grip. And when you've got a car that's got a lot of front grip, if you can't match it up with rear grip, then the car slides at the back. That hurts the rear tyre. And on a place like Sandown, with 2 very important corners leading onto 2 big long straights, it really hurts the tyre in terms of the right rear and the degradation of that tyre. So you have to have a qualifying car that works for you, and then change that setup to make it nicer on the rear tyre, make the rear tyre live in the races. So Russell Ingall leads for Mark Winterbottom, Paul Dumbrell, Jamie Whincup and Will Davison into the top 5. So 2 of the top 5 on the soft tyre.
So, Scafey, let me ask you, Neil just made the comment. I mean, Russell's not exactly bolting away now. He's out in front short. But what do you do here? Do you conserve your tyre with the likelihood that you may want to try it later in the race, which, by the way, I don't think worked from history last year? Or do you try and make as much track room as you can now and get that advantage? I mean, what would you do?
Oh, look, honestly, I would be trying to put them back on again, Larko, and I'd try to put them back on diagonal like we saw people do at Symmons Plains.
Now, it was interesting on that last lap, the speed difference between Russell Ingall and Mark Winterbottom. Russell was only 0.6 quicker, so to the point that Mark Larkham was asking Mark Scape about, James front left locking, misses the apex. He could yield a spot here to Todd Kelly. He'll try and put together that, well, he's already done it. I was going to say, I'll put together that move on the outside at turn 12. He didn't have to worry, he got it on much earlier than that. That's James trying to race on the harder tyre. Very difficult to defend when someone's got that extra pace. So that sneaks Todd up now to position 6. So those with the sprint tyres on are position 1, Russell Ingall. Position 5, Will Davison, and 6, Todd Kelly. 3 cars in the top 10 with the softer tyre.
The only negative about using the soft tyre at the start and the finish is that whenever you change the tyres, you have to change all 4. So when you change all 4, it takes about 11.5 or 12 seconds, which takes longer than what the fuel component will be. This race, 65 laps, you've got to take 100 litres of fuel for this whole race. So any time that you're basically parked in the pit, there's 25 seconds to 100 litres is 25 seconds of fuel. So 25 seconds of park time for fuel, more than that for tyres. That's the mistake we saw from James Courtney, the series leader. Lucky not to go in the sand there. When you lock a wheel, very easy to run wide. And this is Todd Kelly. That's the blue smoke. And there's Todd Kelly up the inside, makes a good, safe pass.
And that happens because James needs to have the load across the front of the car very square as he applies the big pedal pressure to stop it down at turn 9, second gear left-hander. The minute he starts to turn left and unload that front left tyre with a lot of brake pressure on, the wheel locks, therefore the tyre stops and skids the tyre. He's got to release it though in order to not put a flat spot on the tyre. And of course that's how he steers the car, because if the front wheels don't rotate, he can't steer. So you've got this awkward scenario. I need to stop, I need to steer. That's why he just chose to run a little wide, make it easy on the tyre, but he's eventually lost the spot. Lowndes in. Tough start to race 24 for him.
He got smashed early, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was 1 out and 1 wide. The guys all sped up the inside. He was caught in a couple of areas of the circuit coming onto the back straight and then over the top of the hill where he really couldn't get to the inside, couldn't make a safe manoeuvre and was held out to dry. So he lost 4 or 5 spots.
Just got to get out there and do our own thing. Need to push on while the guys haven't pitted yet. 51 to go.
So that's Jeremy Moore talking to him, give him a little bit of guidance as to what the next phase of the race looks like. As we see Will Davison honing in on the back of Jamie Whincup.
And we watched this last time around. Straight line speed, Whincup really pulled away up this straight. Remember, Whincup's on the harder tyre, Will Davison is on the soft tyre. Take a look at that. He keeps the advantage there with straight line speed, but this is where the soft tyre comes into play for Will Davison. It's like the cream rising to the top. All the soft tyre guys started mid-pack. Will started 10th, Russell started 12th, Todd Kelly started 15th, and then it bubbles up and bubbles up, and they end up at the top of the list. Big crack in the windscreen.
What a great shot.
And the reason that happens is because of all the curb hopping that goes on here, you put a huge shock through the body of the car. The energy gets dissipated through the roll cage, and of course the glass is something that doesn't budge. That just gives you an indication of how hard they crack over the curbs, and it's done at turn 2 and 3. It's also done down at turn 9 and a little bit at 11 and 12, so it really gets a walloping through the chassis.
Guys, I've just seen the first set of soft tyres come off the Gulf Western car, and they look pretty good. I've got to say, Matthew Crawford said they were going to check what the tyre looked like. It doesn't appear to be graining. They've got a fan on them to cool them down, but exactly as Scapey was alluding to, their plan is to cross-swap them and run them in the last stint of this race.
So Matt Crawford is the engineer and Warren Luff's car for Lucas Dumbrell Racing, so he's the one looking at those carefully. Todd Kelly in the pit lane now.
Tiny little mistake on the exit of the final turn for Jamie Whincup, but still Davison can't get by. So Courtney in.
Clear when it drops, we'll put some roll center in.
So they're looking for turn in that car of James when they're lifting the rear roll centre. They want a car that responds better to James's steering input. A little pointier in the language that Cam was using earlier. So it's Kelly, Courtney,
Okay, you might come
D'Alberto.
out around Holdsworth. He's got less fuel on board though, so need to keep your head down. There's a few guys around him as well with Rick and Caruso.
So those words coming to James from Scott Sinclair, his engineer, who's in the bunker.
We were saying before the start of this race, we had a massive technical chat about how to win this race. As we see Rick Kelly going up the inside of James Courtney. And we thought that in the realm of 16 to 19 was going to be your first stop. You come in later on and put a set of hard rears on, and then right through to the back end of this race, run the reverse window and put the soft tyre on for the end.
Whincup is in. Last time I said that, here he is.
4 tyres, full fuel, down 5 mil in the rear roll centre, please.
Last time he said that, it was a question mark. That's right.
So down in the rear roll centre is the opposite of what they've done for James. They want to calm the rear of that car.
Pit lane's all clear, mate. We're all good here. Wheels are done. Good to go. All yours. No traffic.
So Jamie searching for drive.
All cold tyres. All cold tyres. You'll be coming out in front of Holdsworth.
So he's got to get across. And he won't get across, I wouldn't think.
Now remember that Todd's had the advantage of the sprint tyre and he's dropped his spot there to Lee. So these guys that we're looking at here are the first cars in the queue that have done their first stop today, being led by Kelly.
From Holdsworth, from Whincup.
And meantime, Russell Ingall is doing exactly what we were asking about. How far can he start pulling away from Mark Winterbottom? Zinger replay here is never going to be pretty.
Oh, this is ugly.
Never, ever going to be
pretty. This is ugly.
It's ugly because not only Jason ended up off the road, but where Craig ended up positioning the car in the left-hander at turn 8, it was all very messy. And here we go, it goes on by the look of it down to the last corner.
This is very lively. And he sneaks around, still up the inside. Good driving from both guys. Lowndes finally escorts him wide at the last corner, but it was on for young and old.
So the gap now is 7.6 seconds for Russell Ingall, the leader of the race, on the soft tyres, pulled away from Mark Winterbottom.
So just remember, as we look at the leader here, Ingall, at that margin, that the reason that Todd Kelly's the first in the queue of those that have stopped is he started on the sprint tyre. He's come off them now and gone to the control tyre, but it has given him a nice little positional boost. Interesting to see how that one plays.
Exactly.
Boys, a very rare mistake by FPR down here. They dropped the Stephen Richards car onto the ground without the front wheels on. It only hit the deck for about 3 or 4 seconds and it was back up, but a very clumsy stop for them. It doesn't look like there's any damage. Richo's back on his way.
Down.
So these are sprint tyres coming off Will's car with the control tyre going on.
Which won't be nice when he gets down to the first corner. After having good grip on those tyres, he arrived out there on cold control tyres.
And the cold part's the big part of that story.
Wait. Go. Reset your bars. Watch the traffic on the exit. Watch Repco and then Courtney.
So remember that Will's got a gain here out of using the softer tyre. That's why he's in touch with Paul Dumbrell. They're both now on the harder control tyre and they're both stone cold.
Would feel a little bit different to the last time he went into turn 1 on the stickier, grippier tyres. So Russell Ingall's 7-second lead from Winterbottom. Jason Barguan, Garth Tander, Tim Slade and Alex Davison make up your top 6. Jonathan Webb, Andrew Thompson, Todd Kelly is in position 9, but the first of those to have been in and out of pit lane.
And Whincup's done a good job on the same tyre strategy at this point versus Dumbrell, because he was behind him before those stops. They've come out after the stops and now he's in front. So there might be a little bit more to play out in terms of what fuel they took on, but they've normally just topped them up to, as I said, at 65 laps you've got to use 100 litres.
And Winterbottom is coming in this lap. We need to keep an eye on that one.
We talked about Warren Luff before. Unfortunately, he's in the garage. The Gulf Western car is out of the race. A lot of oil smell in the cabin, and they're checking, but it looks like Warren's race is over with an engine problem.
It's a pretty lively battle here with Will Davison and Michael Caruso. Will was down the inside of the road, blocking him at the end of the straight.
It's just worth watching at the moment, this little seesaw between Ingall and Winterbottom has just come into the lane. Just in the last couple of laps, the graphs are crossing that Winterbottom's been quicker on the control tyre than Ingall on the soft tyre.
Up now. Not long now, mate. Not long now. You'll have a clear exit. Go.
Just got it away. Well done.
The bias for full fuel and cold tyres. Cold tyres all full.
So therefore, Russell Ingall got the best out of his tyres for 21 laps, 20 to 21 laps, before the time started to cross over against that of Mark Winterbottom.
So watch his relativity to Dumbrell, Kelly and all that gang. Here he is. So
here the gang comes.
Here they come, and it's Todd at the front of the queue, who had the early benefit of the soft tyre. Then Lee Holdsworth in behind. And so this is going to be a pressure lap here for Mark Winterbottom.
Rick Kelly all over the back of the series leader, James Courtney. This has been a lively battle for a few laps. This is Ingle now. So the leader of the race in pit lane.
And it'll be really telling for our guys in the pit lane to have a good look at the rubber that comes off here to see whether it's got any later life or whether
Neil,
they're done.
I've got my heat gun here now. I want to have a look at his right rear tyre. That'll give us a good idea of the punishment. Now, there it is. I can tell you we've got about 90 or 101 degrees. Now, remembering, I had a look at Wincup's rear tyre. It was about 95. So it's had a little bit of punishment, but these may go again.
If I was the guy on that left-hand rear tyre or that bloke put in the field, and I would have swatted him then. You're a maniac, Larko. So 102 degrees on the right-hand rear, which is not unbelievable. So he comes out a fair way ahead. There you go. There's Mark Winterbottom in the back shot. So that whole yield, that big gain that he's got, is a consequence of the soft tyre being used at the start of the race. Does he use them again? Who knows?
Yeah, but for example, there's Katanda with the softs on now, car 2, the car that was brutally damaged yesterday.
This is an interesting strategy, isn't it? I've never seen them put them in the centre.
No, in the middle.
Behind him, you're on soft, he's on hard. Guys, we're getting about 22 laps, so bring your rear bar up to 1.5, rear bar up to 1.5.
Sometimes the trick is just to do something different to the other guy, just to give yourself track position if an opportunity opens up, Cam.
I spoke to HRT prior to the race. Their plan was to go for glory and put them on at the end. So something has changed in that strategy. GT wasn't happy with the car in qualifying this morning. Nothing to do with the crash, just the setup was quite different. They went in the wrong direction. So I'll go and investigate why all of a sudden there's been a change of plan on the hop.
Now, Bargwanna and Webb are coming in, which means that the genuine leader of the race, Russell Ingle, will assume the #1 position. Jeremy Waugh watching Craig Lowndes, his man. So the gap between Ingle and Winterbottom, 3.1 seconds. And that's a pretty interesting number for me because they've gone different ways in this motor race. Winterbottom on the hards, Ingle on the soft tyres. At the end of 25 laps of racing, what was the gain in all that? 3 seconds. It's not the lotto.
No, it's not a lot, is it? In fact, it's less than we thought.
Yeah.
We thought it was going to be about 7 or 8 seconds across the run of 20 to 25 laps.
And
so
remember that Winterbottom and many others that we'll detail as the story unfolds are yet to play their sprint tyre card.
But the important part is that Ingle did come from a long way behind him. So if they started together, the real gap might be more than that. So in essence, 3.5 seconds is probably not enough given you've already used your best shot of tyres for the day. Again, Ingle still has the chance to put them back on again. He may put that right-hand rear on the left-hand front.
So all that hard work and the use of those tyres, as you say, it's only a gain of 3.1 seconds over the nearest guy who's yet to unleash the tyres, but position-wise, that's the important thing from 12th to 4th, first.
Track position's the key there.
Yeah, track position is what it's all about, and on that, Paul Morris just said that it's unlikely that they'll put the soft tyres back on Russell's car, but you know they love doing things different. And Scafey, don't call me a walloper jumping around in pit lane and then use my information telling the story.
Oh, we wouldn't use you up, Larko. We're not like that. So Whincup, Dumbrell's taken some ground off him because he's been caught. As he gets to the back of Holdsworth, it slowed Jamie up, and Dumbrell's had good car speed.
You'll never get in trouble telling the truth.
Yeah, good point.
Thanks, Dad.
Just following on, guys, from what Larko was alluding to there about track position, that's the exact reason HRT have altered their strategy on the hop. Garth was slipping back a fair way. They want to try and make hay while the sun shines, so to speak, drag him up in some track position and go against the grain because they said so many cars are going to be on the softs at the end. Let's try and drag him up there now.
And he was really unhappy with the balance. I heard him on the radio before, so they're trying to tune on the run. So it's to try and counter that slide that you're talking about.
And don't discount Russell Ingle in terms of outright pace, because he's every bit as fast as Winterbottom at the moment.
And remember yesterday, so he was the 5th car in the train at the end of race 23. He was less than 2 seconds from the win in the motor race, and on the last lap he was only a whisker slower than Well, Winterbottom did, I'll punch out the numbers for you. Russell at 11.78, Winterbottom did an 11.94, so there's about 1.5 tenths between them in Russell's favour. So there's certainly nothing wrong with that car on its control tyre.
This has potential for ugliness. Richard Holway looking on. Dave Patterson and the guys down the bottom there. Chris Styring from Ford Motorsport in the background.
And that's why it caught your attention, didn't it?
Yeah,
it has the potential to get really out of whack. So Holdsworth, Whincup and Dumbrell.
This is for 4th, 5th and 6th. So Ingle from Winterbottom, Todd Kelly. Remember, he used the soft tyre. So has Russell. Lee Holdsworth, Jamie Whincup and Paul Dumbrell. James Courtney, the series leader, is 7th. Rick Kelly, Will Davison and Michael Caruso round out the 10, with Craig Lowndes in 11th. And Dumbrell looks racy. He's got speed. Oh.
Jamie wasn't sure whether he should turn in then. He could see the green car having a look.
Yeah, and he's got a good run.
Half gave him a bit of space.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah.
He sort of hung it wide. And you can't see. So just to get this in perspective again, you don't know where the guy is in your blind spot. So you've almost just got to turn the car across and wait for the little bump in case he's there. They're using a lot of that curve, Neil. Turn 1, normally the inside curve is too aggressive. There's hardly a car in the field that's not riding that curve nicely.
Part of the problem there will be, as they begin to do it, it drags the dirt and gravel on from just beyond the apex. So as that comes onto the racetrack, it has the effect of narrowing the race line, which means you've got to keep putting your car further to the left to stay off the marbles, which compels you to drive up over the curve.
That's right.
So this used to happen at Oran Park, and it used to happen at the end of the back straight here. You end up with a tram track groove, and 7/8 of your car in the grass.
And on the outside's a rally track.
That's right.
So this is a really good, lively battle.
And over the last 3 laps, all 3 of these guys, Holdsworth, Whincup and Dumbrell, have been under pressure at various times. The last 2 laps, the pressure's falling straight on the bloke in the middle. Dumbrell's trying to give Jamie Whincup a hurry along. Jamie Whincup and Paul Dumbrell now has a new contender. James Courtney's joined the list. There he is, car 18. So he doesn't want to let Whincup get too far up the road. Andrew Jones here and Greg Murphy.
Oh! That is rallycross action there from Greg Murphy. All 4 wheels off the ground. And Jamie Whincup's speed doesn't look that great. He looks like he's really struggling with getting the front of the car in. Remember, we saw him. There's that cracked windscreen.
It's getting bigger.
Right across the car.
It's going further and further across.
So there's going to be some differences in the way this will roll out after the stops. But the way that Whincup's car looks, it looks like it's not pointy enough. Remember, they've got the soft tyres left. This whole group has got the soft tyre to put on at the end. Holdsworth will have a longer stop than Dumbrell and Whincup. Holdsworth's stop's going to be something like 16 seconds to get to the end. Dumbrell and Whincup, 11 seconds and 13 seconds are the current numbers on fuel. So there's Will Davison. He's in trouble.
And this is a juicy battle as well.
Guys, I should...
Oh, sorry, Cam. Paul Dumbrell. Oh, that was close.
I always worry when I'm about to say stuff like this, but it's been quiet, hasn't it? Like, it's been a remarkably quiet 32 laps so far.
So Dumbrell gets past Whincup, and that puts Whincup and Courtney together.
Again.
Weird how it works, isn't it?
It was a remarkably clean start to the race. Bit of action here between Jason Bargwanna and Tim Slade sends Jace out into the weeds. And we actually had a bit of overnight rain here, so it'll be slippery out there.
Just down at BJR, chatting to my old boss, actually, Bradley Jones.
Ugly!
Oh, no! Holdsworth and Davison. Oh, my goodness.
It's a big crash.
And that's
Caruso.
Over the top.
It was Michael Caruso.
Hey, mate, just as long as you're all right.
That was a shocking incident. Oh my goodness me, twice in 2 days in the same spot, and I think I heard Will say it was completely over the top.
Stay there till the marshals get to you, mate. Everything was safe at the moment.
So Caruso has gone in really heavy in exactly the same position, exactly the same way as Garth Tander did. And Will Davison is out of the car. And he's going to go and make sure that Michael's okay. That was just an enormous impact. Look at the back. Look at what it's done to car 22. Absolutely wrecked it.
Car 2
to shreds. Check this out.
This is a hit. So that turns him around, but 22 actually turns over.
Oh. Oh, that's insane.
Oh, that's fuel out the back of Will's car.
That is such a fast section of road. So sorry, it didn't turn over, but it turned right up onto the back.
Traffic. Let's see if we can go through FPR. They should be out of the way. Just go. Okay, you'll be clear to go. Clear to go. Clear to go. Good job.
So soft
Okay,
tyres
good work, mate.
onto
Race the
Courtney's
line,
car.
race the line.
That's just one of those moments that really makes you hold your breath.
Wingcut gets out into the fast lane.
This is going to trigger a massively lengthy safety car because of the damage up there.
Yeah, yesterday we saw damage to that tyre wall that took about half an hour to repair, so, and probably not as much damage as we just saw a second ago with the incident of 2 cars. So Lowndes also soft tyres.
Conserve fuel, thanks mate. Conserve fuel.
Straight away, don't worry about it.
Yeah, everyone's queued in pit lane, mate, so just conserve fuel straight away.
Everybody's got to conserve fuel. Everyone's saying conserve fuel, conserve fuel.
That was interesting there to hear Roland Dane shout in the background, straight away. Get onto it straight away. So, and Michael Caruso has made contact with the crew. This is it on the Zinger replay. Will Davison in front, Caruso behind him. There's contact here, the highest speed part of the circuit. And check out Davison's car, completely airborne. Completely airborne in a cloud of smoke. Caruso goes diving in. Oh my goodness. So Will's okay, he's out of the car. And Michael's okay as well, we understand. Is that right, Kem?
Yeah, apparently so. I'm down with the man they call Killer, who talks to Michael on the radio. Mate, the guys were just taking sighs of relief up there. Can you give us an update on Michael's condition?
Well, we spoke to him straight after the crash, and he said he was fine. I think it just took him a while to get out the car because the car was up against the tyres, but he said he's fine. Yeah, it looks like he just locked a front brake or something like that and went into the back of wheel and then went off. Yeah, which is a bit of a shame because we're running quite well, but I guess that's how it goes.
Hard luck, mate. One more to go, though. All the best for Homebush.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
And yet again, that tyre bundle down there has done its job, but for the second time in as many days, we're going to have a restart. A full restart of this race.
We haven't seen them for years, and now we've got 2 in 2 days.
So situation here at the moment is that we'll restart it. It's quite complex. There are a number of different restart scenarios, but the official timing monitor is jumping around at the moment in terms of how they'll do the sort order on that, and we're just working through the rule book. But bottom line is that cars will be restarted. It's going to take quite some time for us to be able to make the track safe again at the end of the back straight.
Yeah, so the safety car has stopped all the cars behind him. The drivers can get out. They'll more than likely go for a little loo break like they did yesterday. We will get the order corrected under the rule book, and then we'll grid up again with a full-blown restart. The race was red flagged. And now they'll grid up. These positions are based on how they were the lap before the race was stopped. And that's the key word, the race was stopped. So you'll find Shane Van Gisbergen and Dean Fiore on the front row of the grid.
First thing that springs to mind when I see all that fuel coming out of the back of Will's car is how we managed to dodge the fire bullet, because the whole back of car 22 is missing. That shot that you saw of the car being brought back in, that's the fuel cell, the fuel pumps, a lot of electrical apparatus. There was fuel venting everywhere, so it's remarkable. Again, we underscore the extraordinary job that the tyres have done at the end of the back straight and the amount of work that's gone into that from the organisers here, and there's been input from V8 supercar drivers to make it as safe as can be. But I'm staggered that 2 days in a row, 2 cars from the same stable have ended up in there, and that we've had 2 restarted races in 2 days.
So the reason why the grid is like this is, like I said before, under the rules, the position's based on how they were the lap before the race was stopped.
Which was under safety car.
Correct. So Shane Van Gisbergen was leading the race at that stage. Therefore, he will start from the first slot in the grid. Some of the other cars have come straight into pit lane. Dean Fiore starts alongside him, but they will have to come in for fuel. So will Garth Tander, so will Stephen Richards. The best winner out of all of what's happened will be Mark Winterbottom. More on that in just a tick. So Van Gisbergen and Fiore to get us underway. First time Dean Fiore's ever started on the front row of the V8 grid. And away they go.
Good jump. Mark Winterbottom back in that pack. Dean Fiore takes the lead into turn 1.
Don't discount more drama here.
And off the road.
Straight
2 cars
away
off the road. So Fiore was one of them. Garth Tander's going to lead the motor race. This caused a bit of chaos yesterday. Shane Van Gisbergen was the other involved in that. Winterbottom, all 4 wheels up on the grass where there's just no space at turn 4. Dumbrell out wide on the exit of 4. It's going to take a while for this field to cleanse. Tander, Davison, Stephen Richards and Van Gisbergen either need a safety car or they're going to need to stop for fuel. The best positioned car in the race is that one there, Winterbottom. He's on the soft tyre, he's done his stop, but it's real marginal, even for those that have only just recently refueled. To get to the end of this race, they will be in fuel conservation mode.
So it's a 26-lap sprint. We're talking about sprint. Mark Winterbottom has got the best of them.
This is critical. This is really important. Look at Courtney and Whincup in a battle here. It's a championship battle.
So Tander leads them through. Then Stephen Richards. Both of those guys will have to stop. Mark Winterbottom, with fresh, soft tyres, has the pick of the race right now. The question will be for those guys, can they get the 26 laps done with the fuel they've got on board?
Soft tyres for Courtney, soft tyres for Whincup, but also understand that in the break, Team Vodafone, as Todd Kelly muscles his way up the inside of Tony D'Alberto, this man here, his car, completely reset. Different dampers, different springs. They've set it around the softer tyre. So a wholesale change. They're permitted to do that under the rules. They're not allowed to refuel when they're stationary on the grid, but they were allowed to change the setup.
That's the scene of the crime where Caruso and Davison went in. Holdsworth and Slade muscle passed on Russell Ingall. Remember, Russell used up all those tyres in the initial stage of the race, in the first part of this race.
Russell's getting swamped on the harder tyre at the moment. Here's James up the inside. This is for position 4 and gets Shane Van Gisbergen. Now Shane's on the harder tyre. He's done 1 stop. He'll need to do another. So Courtney now with that car between he and Jamie Whincup. That's a handy buffer. Cars 8 and 21, black flag, pit lane drive-through penalty. Cars 8 and 21, Andrew Jones and Carl Reindler for a restart infringement. Here's the replay of the start. Van Gisbergen wide, Dean Fiore well wide, right out in the weeds, and rejoined Paul Dumbrell style at turn 3.
And a good bit of driving from Garth Tander to slow the car up, get the car turned and ensure that he stayed on. So on board now with Van Gisbergen. There goes Fiore. there's Shane. I can't believe these guys are getting away with going from there straight across to turn 3. You must rejoin before turn 2. You can't rejoin like that. It's lunacy.
Well, and yesterday there was no penalty given for that.
Ridiculous stuff.
And Neil, those restart infringements, they made it clear you couldn't refuel your car on the formation lap, and that's exactly what those guys did. Now, the other big loser out of all of this was Paul Dumbrell. You might notice he went missing. The golden rule when you get a safety car, you must dive in straight away. They missed that, did another lap, and he's well down the pack. Yeah,
and you just lose track position, don't you? So there's the confirmation on our screen.
Murphy again.
Murphy, motor crossing wide at turn 1. Because the other thing that's happening here is there's already been enough chaos, and Paul Dumbrell actually shortcut the other side this time between 2 and 3. Hard to know where to look at the moment.
Yeah. And that was a good point that Larko made. So for those of you who were following the progress of Paul Dumbrell, our pole sitter, he didn't take the initial opportunity to dive into pit lane under safety car, so that's why he's down in the pack in 17th spot. Whincup.
Yeah, so you get shuffled by everybody and then you end up joining on the end of the queue. So the quick calls are critical.
And the championship battle is really on, because in 4th position is James Courtney. Whincup has just got Van Gisbergen, so he's in 5th. So game on now. Whincup's in good order for fuel. Mark Dutton just said, get into it, mate. The fuel consumption is good. So he's now pressing on to catch the series leader.
And yet again, like we say, they always find their way together, don't they? Running exactly the same strategy. But another important point that Roland Dane outlined to us in the break, they changed everything setup-wise on Jamie Whincup's car. This is a zinger replay of car 51. And Greg Murphy getting it wide there.
One of the things that Neil said before, Matt, is absolutely right. We've seen cars get tuned on the grid for a restart. We've seen cars have the shock change or the roll center change as Andrew Jones off the road, but we've never had the shocks totally changed in the car. We've never seen wholesale change to that, so it was very controversial down on the grid.
Might be a safety car depending on where Andrew ends up there in the Team BOC car. Looked like they had some steering damage.
So Andrew's off to the left there, just at that last turn. You can see it right up the top of the screen. Parked in an awkward position.
So Tander leading from Steve Richards. They've only done 1 stop, so they'll have to put a small load of fuel as long as the safety car doesn't come back out. Winterbottom is in better shape. He's done 2 stops. Then Courtney, then Whincup.
Safety car is being deployed.
This might save Tander and Richards.
So they'll need to clear the Team BOC car from the exit of turn 12. You saw Andrew just dribbling to a stop there.
Oh. It's all over the shop.
Certainly is.
So Winterbottom grabbed fuel on lap 33.
Yeah, that's actually going to save more than just that. That's going to save a lot of the field. Talking to them up and down pit lane, believe me, there's a lot more of a marginal on fuel than we're giving it away.
Yeah, so the guys that we were talking about that had already done 2 stops, it takes the heat out of their day because that'll give them the fuel conservation they need to comfortably get home.
Why are they going so fast?
About to say these blokes need to ease up.
Back it off, back off. Oh, no, here they go. They're going to come in for they're gone. So here we were. We thought that 4 seconds might get them home. They're gone. They're over.
Yeah. You ask a rhetorical question of yourself and you get to answer it.
So that puts Mark Winterbottom into the race lead, with James Courtney 2nd and Jamie Whincup 3rd.
Slow down, stop.
How's that? Our top 3 title contenders make up the top 3 in this race.
So they were much more marginal than we thought they were. We thought there was a 4-second race stop. So they've basically they've blazed in to put juice in, get out as fast as they can. Steve Richards jumped Garth Tander, so they put less fuel in or made a slightly quicker tyre stop to be able to do this.
Mark Winterbottom leads the race from James Courtney and Jamie Whincup. In terms of the championship, that's how it stands right now. Courtney's still leading by 41 points and Winterbottom still chip chipping away.
Yeah, and he's pulled a fair chunk of points back on the top two guys there at the moment. I noticed when we're on board with James Courtney, even though we're saying this eases their pressure in terms of fuel, he was in a very high gear at very low revs, which is a giveaway that he's still in some form of fuel conservation mode. So when you're running the car around in a tall gear and it's just basically bopping along at not much more than idle, it means they're trying to still be very conservative.
And look for strategy here. Safety car's gone away. Look for strategy on this restart. This is a very important start to this race.
And this is just all about the race and the championship now.
Absolutely.
So we can never take our eyes off anybody in this field, but it's particularly about Winterbottom, Courtney and Whincup 1, 2 and 3.
So who's doing it tough on fuel? That's the biggest question.
Go, go, go.
Away we go.
Good exit. Well done, Mark Winterbottom. Nice straight exit.
Top 3 title contenders holding down the top 3 positions in this race. They go charging down towards turn 1. Winterbottom leads Courtney. Single file to Whincup. Lee Holdsworth tucked in behind. Tim Slade is in 5th position.
James Courtney just made turn 1 then. He gained about 2 car lengths under brakes on Mark Winterbottom into turn 1, and he just made the corner.
Be absolutely certain that Jamie Whincup will do everything he can to put pressure on Courtney. Winterbottom's job is a little bit different. He just has to stay out in front and stay calm. A race to the finish.
A great shot.
So they've had everything thrown at them. Every conceivable piece of confusion has been added to this race, and at the end of it, it's all washed out to have Winterbottom, Courtney and Whincup fighting for it, and everybody else fighting for position as well.
Now, the interesting thing that's going to play out here, we talk about Jamie Whincup changing his setup. You might remember at the head of the show, we talked about the sprint tyre and the extra grip. So they've changed the setup to use that extra grip. Now, James Courtney nor Mark Winterbottom, I can tell you, they did not change their car on the grid. So you suspect 10 laps into this stint, I reckon Jamie's going to be on a winner.
But you're still got to get around these cars, and that's the tough part here. Shot here of Stephen Richards, well wide. He likes a bit of off-road action in the motorcycle universe. He's got a bit of airtime happening. Oh, seriously, look at that.
It's Duke's Bassett stuff, isn't it?
Man. Look at this for a pressure motor race up the front.
Nobody's going to beat Will Davison for hang time today, though. Possibly for the year.
It's true, very true.
And Tim Slade's running with these guys as well, so good performance from the young bloke in the Wilson security car.
Guys, just been into the BJR garage, obviously not happy at all. Would you believe Bridie's car, he knocked the starter motor off that during the race and didn't have to worry about it, did he, till the race was halted. So that was his problem. And yeah, steering problem for car 8, Andrew Jones.
So the starter motor hangs offset on the bell housing. Very easy to knock the starter motor off them. And Courtney down the inside. Good move.
Now, I didn't see that coming.
Vital move too.
Oh,
he snuck up on Winterbottom, and now he has to defend that position.
He must have got a very good run out of the final corner. There's that, I can't pick who it is, off the wide part of turn 1 there in the grass yet again.
Okay, mate, nice work. 16 to go.
So Courtney to the lead in a critical time. There must have been a little mistake there from Winterbottom coming off the last corner.
It looks to me like Winterbottom's struggling for straight line speed. Maybe he's got to wind the fuel economy back a little bit, because definitely we didn't, even on the back straight there, Whincup made ground up the back straight.
And Courtney was pulling away, so
he certainly was.
Up the front straight was where he got him.
Have a look at this.
This is on board with Mark Winterbottom looking out the rear, of course, to Whincup. Now let's see.
Yeah, just to confirm there, boys, Mark Winterbottom is not conserving fuel. He's obviously just had a bad run onto the straight there. He's not conserving fuel.
Yeah, I didn't think that James was close enough at our last glimpse, and then we look back and there's a move on down at turn 1. So 1 lap ago, the order changes at the front of the field, and Courtney now has actually got a car and a half up his sleeve.
Just adding to Larko's comments there, guys, I can tell you, though, there is a little bit of concern about Lee Holdsworth at GRM. They say it should make it, but very, very tight.
Well, he stopped on lap 33, so he's basically in the same boat as the fellas he's racing, but it must be thirstier on that basis camera. So a little bit of margin for James, just a tiny whisker, and Whincup now really threatening on the back of Winterbottom.
That little move that James Courtney put on Winterbottom and put another position between him and Whincup was worth an extra 13 points.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking, for the championship leader. So he's now got a 53-point lead over Jamie Whincup.
14 to go, nice and smooth.
And at this end of the championship, and at this end of today, when we talk about risk management, that is worth taking the punt for. It is worth taking the risk when there's so much fruit on offer, because they could be vital points.
Down the back straight and along the front straight, car 18 is pulling away. Whincup trying to edge himself closer and closer to Mark Winterbottom to have a dive. Lee Holdsworth is 4th. Tim Slade is in 5th position. Stephen Johnson 6th. Rick Kelly, Greg Murphy, Craig Lowndes and Paul Dumbrell make up our top 10. How does the championship look right now? Looks better than it did before for James Courtney. So 53 points between him and Jamie Whincup. 203 now between him and Mark Winterbottom. It's an ever-changing beast.
Really good laps from James Courtney. He struggled for car speed all weekend, but that pass and that move to get by Mark Winterbottom, as we pick up on some drama with Todd Kelly.
That's messy.
Up the inside with Coulthard and Alex Davison in behind him with Steve Richards. Pretty lively group in the middle of the field. But that move was a ripper move, and then the laps that he's put together, he's almost got a second lead here. You can see it. And nice, accurate driving, but ultra committed. His braking is very, very good into turn 1, and he's using every bit of this car to get this yield.
So, championship battle and a big battle up the front. That's all going on, but some important action here as well for Slade, 5th, for Stephen Johnson, 6th. Then it's Rick Kelly, Greg Murphy, and the Castrol Edge car, 8th. Then Craig Lowndes, Paul Dumbrell. So Paul has been able to claw back a little bit of that lost ground from early. You can see the green car, glimpses of it in the background. There's Slade, 5th. So it's almost becoming 2 groups of 5.
Tim Slade qualified 18th for the first part of this race. He was in good position when the race was stopped and restarted. Now he's inside the top 5.
Remember yesterday, Greg had that problem with the car. They had to push start it and then came back in to fix the drama. Look at that. Just a bit of plastic or a headlight or something shattering in all the chaos there at turn 1. And then they put some fuel in, took the opportunity to change the strategy for car 51. They tried and failed to get the result that they were looking for. So it was a 23rd yesterday for Greg, but he's squarely inside the 10 at the moment and on for a decent run.
Especially when you consider he had to come in and pull that sort of underbody stuff out from under the car, and they had a messy pit stop. So restarts and safety cars have basically got him off the hook. Exactly right. So Courtney from Winterbottom, from Whincup, Holdsworth and Slade. That's your top 5. And it's a very healthy battle in the middle of this field with Todd Kelly in 17th position, battling with Steve Richards, Andrew Thompson, Garth Tander, Dean Fiore, Carl Reindler, all there in that pack. Jason Bargwanna just in the back of shot.
Of the cars that are in the top 10, Paul Dumbrell is basically matching the pace of James Courtney at the moment. So he's coming at these guys like a freight train. So he'll join on to the battle that involves Murphy and Lowndes very shortly. When you're back in the pack like this and in a group like that, it's just unbelievably hard work for very little reward. Isn't it? Like these guys are at the back end of the teens. They're driving like it's the last lap of the World Championship, and there won't be anybody other than you tomorrow morning that cares about it. Well, I was going really hard. It's so frustrating and it's so competitive.
Dropping off around us, doing a great job.
And that's the tough part about the business, because track position means so much. In many cases dictates the end game. There's not a huge variation of speed across the entire field.
I'm interested to look at, as Roland Dane and Mark Dutton watch the telemetry of Jamie Whincup and Craig Lowndes, but I'm interested to look at the style in which the guys are driving the car, because Jamie Whincup's in a bit more trouble. We saw them make a big change on the grid, but what he's doing is he's driving it, just have a look on board, he's driving it to the corner on the front wheel, meaning that he guides the car at the corner and he's late on the throttle. So listen for the throttle, it's very late. And then again, brake it hard for here, for Dandenong Road, little brake lock there, Winterbottom. And then late on the throttle and a nice slow modulation, trying not to get too much wheel spin. So even though there's only 10 laps to go in this race, you've still got to drive the car really accurately and very smoothly.
Just losing touch slightly.
Starting to drop a little bit of pace.
So 11.5 for James, 11.7 for Winterbottom on that lap, and 11.5 for Whincup.
Mark Dutton's using a little bit of licence there to keep Jamie Whincup on the hammer. I mean, a little bit of pace. He's probably dropped about a thousandth over the last lap, but the point being is that Mark Dutton is making sure that Jamie Whincup stays focused, keeps himself in this game. The top three guys are trading almost exactly the same times. There really is no difference.
And don't you worry, they will be using everything they can possibly do to get the best from these cars, Neil. They will be driving the wheels off these cars.
Three guys on the map, they're giving it their all. Jamie's got to be a bit careful here, because Lee Holdsworth's not letting him get too far afield either, so he can't drift. If he drops a spot, it's another big bunch of points that go straight into James Courtney's pocket.
So it's a good rescue job. After missing the opportunity to go into pit lane under safety car, Paul Dumbrell is piecing it back together after the restart, the full restart of this race.
Yeah, and he's got great speed. He's basically matching the leaders at the moment, but he doesn't have track position. He's got past Craig Lowndes. He's assaulting Greg Murphy now into turn 12. 7 laps remaining. He's going to be a threat.
Last lap, Courtney, 11.78. Winterbottom, 11.69. Whincup, 11.69. Holdsworth, 11.74. So, 11 hundredths of a second. Oh, there's a massive moment there for Todd Kelly between turn 2 and turn 3. So, almost less than a tenth of a second. It's just unbelievably close there at the front as we see Dumbrell firing up towards the back of Greg Murphy.
Remember that he really should have been in this lead group, but they spent 1 lap extra at the first safety car intervention as a result of the big incident at the back straight, and that buried him down the order, and now he's on the comeback trail.
Has a little look at the end of the back straight, big chatter, ran too wide. Yeah, that noise you could hear was understeer. The front tyre wouldn't make the corner, and Neil Crompton was cringing, thinking, here we go, here's another car in the tyre.
I thought it was Croppo's teeth.
Yeah.
Well, when I hear the understeer chatter like that, it's, that means it's not responding to the helm.
This has probably put him in good enough spot here to get down the inside.
You're doing a great job.
Dave Patterson on the radio just encouraging Paul. He'll have a look perhaps under brakes.
There's the blinker. There was the blinker there for Murphy to say, yep, it's yours. So Greg had enough time then to be able to flick the blinker down the straight.
Lowndes is wounded.
Yeah, he's gone, isn't he?
Van Gisbergen gets past him. Last time around, out in front, by the way, James Courtney did a time that was close to 2/10 quicker than both Mark Winterbottom and Jamie Whincup. The gap from Courtney to Winterbottom is 1.1 seconds. The gap from Courtney back to Whincup is 1.9. So there's only a breath in it, but track position's the key. And Lee Holdsworth is right there in this battle.
Oh, no, safety car.
At turn 4, is he going to get out of here?
He might get out.
He has, he's got out. Usually when you bunk it in there, you're gone, aren't you? I've seen you in there,
Right there, mate.
Have not.
I have.
You make this stuff up.
He was further Croppo was further up ahead the road.
I have to chime in.
Pointing towards the wall.
Oh, that's nasty. That's when that motocross berm doesn't do the motocross berm thing.
Right. It does the opposite, tips you the other side. So this margin now is 1.3 seconds, Courtney to Winterbottom. And it doesn't look to me, as I just push the pack off the top of me here, it doesn't look to me as though Whincup is going to be able to do much about Courtney.
Isn't it funny how we remember his offs?
Yeah.
I have never been off there.
Yeah, memorable. I've seen you off there.
Delusional clowns.
You were off there with Steve Richards.
Stevie
I remember it
Richards,
clearly.
Because you still argue about
Headlights
it.
on, mate. Headlights on.
Had a senior moment, didn't you? You did.
It's coming back to him. He's in the fetal position now. James Courtney, by the way, 1 second lead over Winterbottom. So this is it. The final 5 laps of this race. Absolutely critical. Only 2 races left in the 2010 championship. Tony Ricciardello is now in front of James Courtney, but steps aside and lets the leaders go through. Good job by Tony.
Psychologically, if he puts this together, Courtney, this is a very important little marker that he's laid down, because the recent sway has gone towards Jamie, and all the chat's been about the way in which the Jim Beam guys have just been losing control of the championship. This puts an end point on that and wrestles the lever back in the other direction.
That's 100% right.
And Neil, I just spoke to Roland Day, and he said when they did that setup change to Jamie's car, Jamie has been pacing himself. They wanted as many laps as possible, obviously, because they reckon these tyres will fall off the edge of a cliff, and theirs won't. Now, will there be enough laps? I don't know, but you can see him coming now.
Well, he's coming at Mark Winterbottom, but as you say, he's running out of laps. But the crucial point is that you just made, the crucial point is, we've been waiting over the last couple of events to see who would grab it by the throat. And nobody's been willing to really give it a good strangle. I'm talking about the championship trophy. Well, today, James Courtney has, right now, is delivering that grip.
Well, if you look at the sector splits in both sectors 1 and 2, Courtney, Winterbottom, Whincup, they're all basically doing the same speed. So this lap will be a bit telling. Jamie's certainly being interrupted by Winterbottom in this location of the circuit, but a 1:12.2 for James, a 1:12.2 for Winterbottom, a 1:12.0 for Whincup on that lap. So on that lap, Jamie was the fastest driver of the 3.
And those points that you're looking at may well yet change if Jamie Whincup gets around Mark Winterbottom.
Both guys know how important this is. Courtney to keep the gap, Whincup to close the gap. He will be doing everything he can in these last couple of laps to force Mark Winterbottom into making a mistake. Up the inside, show the car. This is a show the car moment. This is Van Gisbergen down the inside of Dumbrell. Gives him a bump in the door. Got away with it.
It's worth 9 points to Jamie Whincup if he can get Mark Winterbottom. 9 vital points in this championship hunt.
Ooh, he's so close. He's just waiting for his opportunity.
9 extra is what I need to say there.
But it's risk management, Neil, because if he can't do it cleanly, you maybe put yourself out. Exactly. So you've got to do this in a way, and this is the spot. He's got to get on there. He's done a really good job, really nice exit. Those bumps interrupt the gear changes. You just saw out of Lee Holdsworth's car.
1 minute 12.7 for James, 1 minute 12.6 for Mark Winterbottom, a 1 minute 12.7 for Jamie Whincup, and a 1 minute 12.2 for Lee Holdsworth. Now he's the one with late race pace.
Oh, big moment. That is a massive moment. When you're sideways off that curb, if you make the dirt, you go off the road on the left. Here he is up the inside.
Oh, now he's vulnerable. Slow exit here for Jamie.
To reserve now.
Lee Holdsworth is close enough to be dangerous for Whincup. He won't be able to do anything about it at the end of the back straight. Watch him at Dandenong Road or down into turn 12.
He was asked to go to reserve also, so that means that they're struggling for fuel economy. That pass at turn 4 is either one that you get away with or you don't, and he only had a half nibble, and that hurt him.
So this is it. This is what it's all come down to. After, quite simply, an incredible weekend where everything has happened. Oh, it's happening more. Shane Van Gisbergen into the tyre wall at the end of turn 6.
This will be a safety car, and he's in the wall now. It's the last lap. They may not deploy.
That's right. 1 lap to go. They'll leave it alone, I'm sure.
But it's in such a dangerous position. Meanwhile, under attack. Mark Winterbottom still under attack from Jamie Whincup, and Lee Holdsworth wants to have a crack at Whincup as well, but Courtney leads the way. He's a 1.5 seconds further up.
This is the spot, the bump pass or up the inside here. This is his only chance. Can't get up there.
It'll put him 9 points closer in the title race.
And there'll be a local yellow at the end of the back straight.
So he can't pass.
Can't do anything there, so good decision at race control. They've decided to just leave things as they are. You'll see the car at the end of the back straight here. There it is.
There's the yellow flag, so you can't pass. Everyone's supposed to slow down. Green flag means go ahead and race again. This is the only chance for Whincup with 2 corners remaining.
But James Courtney has done it. Whincup has a look. He won't get through there. And this could well be the most important win of James Courtney's career.
With everything that's going on, good for you boys. Good work. Awesome job.
A dive to the line between Winterbottom, Holdsworth and Whincup.
And Whincup only just got there from Holdsworth.
By 42 ten-thousandths of a second.
Yeah, Jamie was within a whisker of dropping to 4th off that final corner.
What a race. Wow. Great job, James Courtney. That was a championship winning drive. A super pass and an incredible final sector of that race. Great accuracy, great commitment. Fantastic job, James Courtney. Mark Scaife, a fantastic drive, mate. Well done.
Oh, thanks heaps, Scaife. You know, it's been crazy times in a Jim Beam racing, and to repay the boys like this after everything that's gone on is an amazing feeling. It's, I can't explain. It's awesome, mate. Awesome.
I don't think I've ever heard you that emotional, James. It means a lot.
Yeah, look, after everything that's gone on, and, you know, the boys have had a really hard time, and, you know, I've cocked a bit, and, you know, just to come back at the end and then just stamp our authority like that, it's, you know, we couldn't have asked for a better way to go into Homebush. So let's bring it on, boys.
You want the good news on the championship picture?
Oh, I'll be looking at that on Saturday night. I don't care now, but we finished in front of him, so it must have been all right.
Let me tell you, you got a 53-point lead going into the Sydney Telstra 500.
You can be happy about that if you want.
Or just take a deep breath and smile. Smile and wave.
Well done, buddy. Great job.
Here's what happened to Shane Van Gisbergen. It's a carbon copy of some of the action, although it's a bit earlier. He's actually managed to tag the wall there at a lower speed, but earlier in proceedings, not quite as many tyres in that location. I heard him on the radio, and Paul Forgy acknowledged it.
What a pass. This is a great pass. Down the inside, got it done. And when you do that, you've got to not run wide. He did a really good job of keeping the car on the road, covered the corner at the next corner. As I said, you cannot do a better job than that.
Well, Mark Winterbottom, Matty White here, second in that race, but you're still in the championship hunt. What a day, hey?
Yeah, mate, what a day. I won on the hard tyre, but I've lost on the soft, I guess. So James was very quick there. Yeah, soft tyre pace wasn't as good, but yeah, it's a bit of a strange race. I've never had 2 red flags like this before, but yeah, good championship fight there. 3 guys. Yeah, that's what you want to see. Good race.
Just before you jump out of the car, you must be confident going into the final event. You've got the roll on.
Yeah, I've got a roll on and we've got hard tyres, so yeah, I'm sort of confident, but yeah, these guys got a big gap, you know, so I'm just racing for the win, and that's about it.
Well done, Mark.
Thanks, guys. Good on you.
Courtney with that upside down there for a second. It's been an upside down weekend.
It's been that kind of year. So they're the results of race 24. Courtney Winterbottom and Whincup make up our podium. Kudos to Lee Holdsworth. Tim Slade there, 6th. And Paul Dumbrell from pole position had to fight his way back through the field. Russell Ingall was so close, but events conspired against him after putting everything into the sprint tyre at the start of the race. And victims today, well, there were quite a few. Shane Van Gisbergen, the last of them.
Jamie Whincup, mate, not a win though, but truly in contention for this championship, and what a way to set it up.
Oh, for sure, mate. We're in contention. We would have liked to have scored a few more points then, but that 18 car was a bit quick for us today. So we'll go away, do our homework. It's shaping up to be a pretty close one in Sydney.
Fantastic racing, mate. We look forward to that grand final. It's going to be a beauty.
Yeah, thanks, mate. What a crazy Sandown. We had more stops and goes than you know what, but all good. Having fun.